Imagine this. Real Madrid and Barcelona, like the absolute giants, are chasing some young talent,
Hmm.
and he turns them down.
For Newcastle.
Yeah, you heard that right, Newcastle.
It's that kind of, double take moment that really sums up the transfer buzz we're wading into today. We've been digging through the latest reports. You can check them out yourself at EPLNews.org, by the way.
Absolutely. It's fascinating stuff.
And we're trying to pull out the genuinely surprising shifts, the things you maybe didn't expect.
Yeah, it's definitely not just the usual suspects making the obvious moves anymore. The landscape feels different.
Nuanced.
Exactly. Young players making really interesting choices, big clubs maybe not getting their own way quite so easily.
So our mission here really is to get under the skin of these rumors. Why might these moves happen? What's the thinking?
And what could it all mean for the clubs involved? Trying to give everyone listening a clearer picture of what's actually going on. Okay, let's kick off with that very idea then. The Premier League, holding on to talent, maybe unexpectedly. Dean Huyson, young defender, Juventus player, but on loan at Bournemouth.
Right, the Spanish U21 international.
He's apparently got Real Madrid and Bayern Munich looking at him. I mean, proper European heavyweights.
You don't get much bigger.
But the word is he actually prefers the idea of staying in the Premier League. What's going on there? That feels significant.
It really does. It suggests perhaps a shift in perception for young players. Maybe the Premier League with its intensity and constant high level.
Week in, week out?
Yeah, maybe that's seen as the best place to develop now. Better than being, say, number 4 center back at a giant club straight away.
More chance of actually playing regularly.
Yeah, it's got to be key, hasn't it? At that age, you need minutes. Plus, the visibility, the financial side. The Premier League's pull is strong, not just for the superstars.
Okay, staying in England. Goalkeepers seem to be a hot topic. Manchester United. Sounds like there are some jitters about Andre Onana's form.
That's the rumor, yeah. And they're reportedly monitoring a couple of options.
Aaron Ramsdale and Bart Verbruggen are the names mentioned. Although the report we saw said Ramsdale was at Southampton. That's not right, is it?
No, that's definitely an error in the source material there. Good spot. Ramsdale's, of course, Arsenal's keeper, England international.
Right, Arsenal. Okay, that makes way more sense. My mistake reading that source. Apologies.
No worries. But the core point stands. United are apparently looking at both Ramsdale, who hasn't played much for Arsenal recently, and Brighton's Verbruggen, the young Dutch keeper.
Very highly rated, Verbruggen.
Immensely.
And it's not just United. West Ham are apparently keen on Liverpool's Kayem Hinckelleher, too.
Another interesting one. Keller has shown he's a capable Premier League keeper when Alisson's been out.
So you've got United, possibly West Ham, maybe others sniffing around. What does this flurry tell us? Just how tough is it being a top-level keeper?
It's incredibly unforgiving, isn't it? One mistake gets magnified massively, and clubs are ruthless if they feel a change is needed.
Plus, different managers want different things from their keepers now, right? Playing out from the back, command of the area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about shot stopping anymore. It could be clubs looking for a very specific profile to fit their system. High pressure, high stakes.
Brighton's name keeps cropping up. We mentioned Verbruggen. Now Chelsea are apparently watching their forward, Jorginho Rutter, French attacker, 22.
Yeah, he's had some eye-catching moments. Pace, skill.
Feels very Chelsea, doesn't it? Investing in young, attacking potential.
It absolutely fits their recent mold, yeah. They've clearly targeted promising young players, hoping they'll develop into stars. Rutter seems to tick those boxes.
And Brighton, well, they know how to spot talent.
They certainly do. So other clubs are always going to be watching their players closely.
Let's swing over to North London. Arsenal. Potential midfield issue brewing. Atletico Madrid apparently want Thomas Partey back.
The rumors resurfaced. He's obviously had his injury problems, but when fit.
He's crucial, isn't he? That defensive stability he offers.
Absolutely. He brings physicality, experience, that ability to break up play. Losing him would leave a specific kind of gap.
Would they need a like-for-like replacement, do you think? Or could they adapt?
That's the question for Arteta, isn't it? Do they have someone internally who can step up consistently in that role, or do they need to dip into the market again? It could definitely force a tactical rethink.
Okay, now for that story we teased at the start, Newcastle. Apparently beating Real Madrid and Barcelona to sign Antonio Cordero, an 18-year-old winger from Malaga.
Yeah, that's the report. If true, that's quite something.
It's a massive statement, isn't it, for Newcastle?
Huge. It says a lot about their project, their ambition, It suggests they can genuinely compete for highly sought-after young talent now, not just established names.
Maybe players see a clearer path to the first team there compared to, Real Madrid.
That's likely a big factor. Plus the whole excitement around the club under Eddie Howe, it's becoming a genuinely attractive proposition.
And sticking with youth investment, Aston Villa seem to be doing similar things. They're reportedly making progress, signing Sverre Halseth-Naipan from Rosenborg. Another 18-year-old midfielder, this time Norwegian.
Yeah, it reinforces that trend. Premier League clubs using their financial muscle to scout globally and bring in top young talent.
Planning for the future.
Exactly. It's about building sustainable success, not just quick fixes. Secure talent early, develop it,
Right.
potentially see a huge return down the line, both on the pitch and financially.
Let's just quickly jump over to Syria. Looks like loan moves are becoming permanent for Tammy Abraham at Roma and Alexis Saelemaekers at AC Milan,
Despite some managerial uncertainty at both clubs, apparently.
which suggests the players themselves have really made their mark, right? Impressed the club hierarchy regardless of who's in charge next season.
I think you have to read it that way, yeah. When a club commits significant transfer fees like that, especially when the manager situation isn't set in stone, it shows real faith in the player's contribution and fit within the squad itself. They've clearly proven their worth.
Right. Good news for Newcastle fans now. Eddie Howe is reportedly determined to keep his main men. Specifically mentioned Alexander Isak, who's obviously attracting a mention, Liverpool, Arsenal linked.
And you can see why. He's had a fantastic season.
So Howe wanting to keep him? That signals they're serious about building, not just selling off assets when big clubs come calling?
Absolutely. Retaining your best players is fundamental if you want to push on and compete consistently. It sends a message about their own ambitions they want to challenge, not just make up the numbers or be a stepping stone.
Over at Manchester United, sounds like some experienced heads might be heading out. Tom Heaton, Johnny Evans, contracts expiring.
Yeah, it seems likely they'll move on. Both have played their part, offered experience, especially Evans coming back last season.
But it's just that natural cycle, isn't it? Players move on, create space.
Exactly. It's part of squad evolution. Opens the door for younger players or allows the club to bring in new faces. Standard practice, really.
Here's a curious one, though. Liam Delap, striker, doing well on loan at Ipswich from Man City. He's reportedly going to turn down a move to Manchester United.
Interesting, right? Given the City connection, too.
What do you reckon is behind that? Loyalty to Ipswich, maybe, especially if they go up? Or just feeling his development is best served there for now?
Could be a mix of things. Maybe he sees a guaranteed starting spot at Ipswich, feels comfortable, likes the manager. Sometimes, for a young player, that consistent game time in a system they know is more valuable than jumping to a giant club where you might be back on the bench.
Makes sense. Prioritizing playing time.
Definitely. Shows a level of maturity, perhaps.
Right, brace yourself for this one. The rumor mill is churning out. Jurgen Klopp
Go on.
as a potential replacement for Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah,
better be something.
wouldn't show. Klopp, now with his Red Bull role, potentially heading to the Bernabeu after his time at Liverpool.
The narrative, the sheer drama of that.
Yeah.
Klopp at Real Madrid. I mean, it's pure speculation at this stage. You have to stress that. Ancelotti's still there, doing a great job.
Of course.
Ah.
But just the idea of it.
It's huge. It would send absolute shockwaves through football. But yeah, let's file that under intriguing but highly speculative for now.
Agreed. Still on managers, Tottenham are apparently doing some thinking. Contingency planning, maybe? Potential replacements for Ange Postecoglou being lined up?
Marco Silva at Fulham, Thomas Frank from Brentford, and Doni Iraola at Bournemouth. Those are the names being mentioned.
Shows how precarious management is, doesn't it? Even when things seem okay on the surface.
It's relentless. Clubs always have to look ahead, consider possibilities. Doesn't mean Postecoglou is about to leave necessarily, but reflects the reality you always need a plan B, maybe even a plan C.
And interestingly, one of those names, Iraola, sounds like he might be happy to stay at Bournemouth anyway.
That's the suggestion, yeah.
Yeah.
They've got ambitions of their own, European football maybe.
He's done a brilliant job there.
Fantastic job. Implemented a really exciting style. So leading them into Europe, that's a massive carrot for him to stay and build on what he started. Shows how clubs outside the so-called Big Six are raising their game.
Definitely. Okay, one last one looking further afield. Jorge Sampaoli, the former Argentina and Sevilla coach.
High energy, intense style.
He's apparently in talks to manage Santos in Brazil, Neymar's old club, obviously.
Right. Just highlights how global the managerial merry-go-round is, doesn't it? Managers moving between continents, leagues.
Brings different ideas, different approaches.
Exactly. Sampaoli in Brazil, particularly at an iconic club like Santos. That'll be interesting to watch.
So quite a whirlwind then. To wrap it up for everyone listening, we've got young stars potentially choosing the Premier League over traditional giants, a possible reshuffle of goalkeepers, Chelsea sticking to their youth policy, Newcastle making waves, and even some wild managerial rumors involving huge
A
names.
real mix. And remember, these are all developing situations. For the latest updates as things happen, you can keep an eye on EPLNews.org.
Definitely worth checking out.
And maybe something to think about. Out of everything we've discussed, all these potential transfers, these links, which one move, if it happened, do you think would cause the biggest splash, the biggest ripple effect in the Premier League next season?
Ooh, good question.
Something to ponder. It just shows, doesn't it, the game never stands still. Always evolving, always shifting.